Well, good morning, guys. I'm still in Death Valley, this time in the Devil's Cornfield. But before I talk about the main plants out there, I want to talk about this guy a little bit. This shrub here is Allenrolfea occidentalis, also known as Iodine Bush. It is a succulent member of the family Arrowweed that is endemic to the American West, and it is one of the toughest plants in the whole continent. It can grow in extremely salty places with very little moisture, but it seems to be even struggling here a bit because though it grows in very dry places, it does need some water. It typically grows in like ply bottoms to get more water from all the runoff than the rest of the surrounding land does. But even in Death Valley, it's really pushing this plant. Again, a succulent member of Arrowweed. Really tough plant, but it seems to be mostly dead here, as are all the other specimens can find. So I actually really tell you about how hard this place is to live. Now walking around here, what's definitely the most common plant is this one. This is Pluchea sericea. And I've also talked about the genus Pluchea before, but I was talking about Pluchea indica, which is a sort of shrub native to the coastal areas of Southeast Asia. But whereas talking about it in Hawaii, it is pretty invasive. But it must have a relative in the American Southwest because there's this plant right here, Pluchea sericea. Its common name is Arrowweed. I guess maybe its long stems make good arrows. I don't really know for sure, but either way, it's got a little bit of prickly leaves, and it's clearly a pretty tough plant to be growing so green in such a hot place. So this is the nice moderate time of the year. And I'm not sure why it's doing so well. It typically likes to grow in places with like along riversides or dry washes in the Mojave deserts and like Sonoran Desert as well. So it's clearly gotta be pretty tough to be surviving here, but I think this area maybe gets a bit extra water from all the runoff from the alluvial fans. So, I mean, that's my guess at least. I'm not speaking too loud or inconsistently. The other plant I'm seeing, aside from the Allenrolfea occidentalis, is this one, which I actually don't know what it is. I think it might be, maybe. I guess it could be Atriplex canescens, but I think it might also be Atriplex polycarpa, which are Fourwing Saltbush and cattle spinach respectively. Member of Arrowweed, formerly the chenopode subfamily, I believe. Atriplex is a pretty tough genus of plants, so it's no surprise you'd see them growing here. And Atriplex canescens, at least, certainly likes the salt desert scrub, which is kind of what we're in right now. We're in like a very low elevation version of a salt desert scrub from the Mojave Desert. But yeah, clearly a very punishing habitat for almost all plants, except for the Pluchea sericea, which seems to be thriving out here. I don't quite know how this landscape formed, but I do believe part of it is that the sand surrounding these bushes gets blown away, leaving them sort of like high and dry like this. But no, I don't have any new ones cropping up, nor do I know how old they are. I mean, they could be pretty old. Like, just look at these, look at the whole root mass here. Crazy. Maybe they're just growing up and actually catching the sand. I don't think that's it, but it is really interesting. These things look like they're probably about like 2 to 3 feet tall worth of like dead root mass before you get to the actual plant. It's no surprise why I call it the Devil's Cornfield, though it is a bit of a goofy name. It's kind of one people came up with to try and like increase the allure of this place. But I guess it worked. It is certainly very alluring in that it's so hot and dry. Now here we have a bit of a Allenrolfea occidentalis dune. I didn't realize it could be dune formers. And I'm guessing they help to form us a little bit and aren't just like colonizing it. But that is interesting to see. Seem to be doing a little bit better. See a characteristic red blush some members of Arrowweed get on their green portions. What should be green photosynthetic portions, like right there. They're no doubt still photosynthesizing. The red color, which is probably from betalain pigments, is likely just protecting it. Yeah, we're not seeing many other plants out here. I guess the other exception is this sort of grass, but I've so bad at grasses, I don't know which this one is. It could be like, I mean, I know it's like alkali cicada and saltgrass grows out here, but I don't know if it's either of them. I'll have to look it up. Sorry I didn't practice more. I mean, I did try and study a lot of plants before coming out here, but the thing is, there's only so much you can study, really, before you can just have to throw yourself into a new environment to start learning stuff. Other side of the road has a lot more of Allenrolfea occidentalis, and they're all seem to be forming little bits of dune. Like the smooth sand, it seems to be places where it's recently blown over, especially with the wind last night. But yeah, it's definitely notable. You all seem to be struggling. Oh, but there's some new shoots. This is some young Allenrolfea occidentalis. Alright, it's got alternate branches, so it's not Salicornia. Salicornia has opposite branches. It looks very similar, but it's got opposite ones. And I seem to notice it likes areas that are more wet and less salty. Like when I was exploring Ghost Valley, not Ghost Valley, Skull Valley, what am I saying? That's what I observed. Like when I went to this one spring, this like freshwater spring, there was some Allenrolfea occidentalis, but there was actually Salicornia growing there as well. So the main species is Salicornia rubra. At least in Utah. I'm not sure if that's the same one here. I like this plant a lot, actually. I think it's very interesting. But there's only so much I can talk about this place, so thanks for watching, and see you next time, guys. Well, I spoke a little too soon because just further down the road, where there isn't a turnoff, there is a much denser field of the Pluchea sericea. And the ground seems to be, well, it was like kind of sandy back here. It seems to be like covered in these weird spires of salt, or at least capped with salt. This is really cool. Imagine this must get soaked occasionally, but yeah, look how much more dense the Pluchea sericea is growing. And there is Allenrolfea occidentalis growing alongside it. But like, oh, that seems to be a very young one there. So they're being recruited here, which is good to see. This is a lower elevation for sure. So yeah, it must be a place where water maybe every so often pools, or at the water table is higher, allowing these sort of salt crystal-like things. I don't think this can't be crypto, I don't think, but it's just capped with salt. But yeah, allows them to form, which is really neat to see. Again, not too much to talk about here, but thought you guys should see this at least. Wow. Oh, and over here is another plant I might be talking about more in the future. This is Atriplex hymenelytra, also known as cattle spinach. Not cattle spinach, what am I saying? Desert holly. It is probably the toughest plant in North America. Not actually Allenrolfea occidentalis. I mean, that one's tough because it can grow in super salty soils. It's not objective, but this one can handle even more drought than the Larrea tridentata can. It's called desert holly because it's got leaves that look like holly a little bit. Even though it's not closely related at all, it's just another, as all Atriplexes are, a member of Arrowweed. A very drought-tolerant family, and has a lot of diversity in the deserts, but this certainly takes the cake in North America, I think, for being just able to handle a full slate of like drought conditions, intense heat, and even a bit of salty soil, but not too salty. All right, thanks for watching, and see you next time.